The way you breathe shapes the quality of your life, yet most people go through the day without ever realizing that their lungs are capable of far more than they allow them to do. Breathing stays shallow, incomplete, rushed, and often ignored, especially when days get busy or stress takes over. Your lungs are not just balloons inside your chest. They are complex and powerful organs designed to pull in oxygen, fuel your cells, energize your brain, and push out waste gases that would otherwise slow your body down. But over time, because of pollution, stress, aging, lack of physical activity, or even poor posture, lungs lose the flexibility and expansion they once had. The lungs don't shrink, but the muscles around them become weaker, the rib cage becomes tighter, breathing slows down, and oxygen intake drops without anyone noticing. That's when people begin feeling tired more easily, dizzy during small tasks, short of breath while climbing stairs, and mentally foggy because the brain isn't receiving enough oxygen. The great news is that the lungs respond remarkably well to even a small amount of focused training, and just 10 minutes a day is enough to gradually reawaken the full power of your breathing system. The secret lies not in doing complicated workouts, but in training the muscles that drive your breathing, the diaphragm, intercostal muscles, and supporting respiratory tissues, while opening the air passages and teaching your lungs to expand wider than your usual shallow breaths allow. When you train your lungs for 10 minutes a day, you're not just improving oxygen flow, you're rewiring your body's relationship with breath. Many people believe lung capacity is fixed, like height or foot size, but in reality, it is highly adaptable. Athletes, swimmers, singers, dancers, yoga practitioners, and deep breathing experts all develop extraordinary lung capacity because their lungs are constantly challenged to stretch and fill deeper. When you take slow, controlled, deep breaths, your diaphragm moves downward fully, allowing air to reach the lower lobes of your lungs, areas that stay collapsed or underused during normal shallow breathing. These lower areas are rich in blood vessels and have tremendous oxygen absorbing ability, so when you start using them daily, your entire body begins to feel more energized. Many people never reach these deeper air zones because of posture habits, stress, long hours sitting, tight chest muscles, or poor lung training. The irony is that the lungs crave expansion. They want to stretch the way they did when you were young. Even the stiffest lungs respond to practice. The more you breathe deeply, the more elastic and powerful the lungs become. The exercises you'll learn today are simple, gentle, and scientifically supported, and with consistent practice, they help push old trapped air out of the lungs, bring fresh oxygen in, expand the breathing muscles, and increase your stamina, clarity, and energy in every aspect of life. To understand why 10 minutes is enough, imagine your lungs as a set of wings that rarely open fully. Most people take around 20,000 breaths a day, yet almost all of them are shallow chest breaths that use only a small percentage of lung volume. Shallow breathing keeps the body in a low oxygen state, which eventually makes the brain think shallow breathing is normal. With focused lung training, you teach your system to flip this pattern. When you spend a few minutes forcing the lungs to expand wider than they are used to, the brain begins to recognize deep breathing as the new normal. The diaphragm gets stronger, your chest muscles loosen, and your rib cage becomes more flexible, making it easier for your lungs to stretch. Think of lung training like stretching your body. You don't need hours to become flexible. You only need a few targeted movements each day. The same rule applies to breathing. 10 minutes is enough to stimulate the respiratory muscles, increase airflow, and open air sacs that have been dormant due to stress or inactivity. Over time, these 10 minutes create a ripple effect. Your body begins to crave deeper breaths throughout the day, your lungs automatically expand more, your endurance increases, and you become more resistant to fatigue. People who once struggled with breathlessness during walking or exercise often notice dramatic improvements within weeks. Breathing exercises are the heart of increasing lung capacity, and one of the most powerful techniques is diaphragmatic breathing. In this exercise, you breathe by engaging the large dome-shaped muscle below your lungs instead of your shoulders or chest. When the diaphragm contracts deeply, it pulls air downward, expanding the lungs from bottom to top. Most people rarely use their diaphragm fully because long hours of sitting weaken it. 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing each day reverses years of underuse. As you inhale deeply through the nose, the belly rises, the rib cage expands, and the diaphragm moves downward, giving your lungs maximum space to fill. When you exhale slowly through the mouth, the diaphragm pushes upward, forcing stale air out of the lungs. This stale air often carries toxins, carbon dioxide, and pollutants that remain trapped in the lower lungs. Removing this stale air allows more oxygen to enter during the next breath. Many people report feeling lighter, clearer, and more awake, after even 2 or 3 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing, because oxygen begins flowing to areas that haven't been used in years. Another essential technique for increasing lung capacity is pursed lip breathing, which controls the flow of air and prevents the airways from collapsing during exhalation. When you breathe out too quickly, the small airways inside your lungs can close prematurely, trapping air inside and reducing your lungs' ability to take in the next breath fully. Pursed lip breathing slows down your exhale, creating gentle back pressure inside your airways, keeping them open longer. This allows the lungs to empty more effectively. When you practice this daily, your lungs learn to become more efficient. Over time, they begin pushing out more air on their own. The result is improved lung elasticity, stronger respiratory muscles, and deeper oxygen exchange. This technique is especially useful for people who live in polluted cities, ex-smokers, or anyone with weak lungs, because it supports cleaner, slower, more controlled breathing patterns. Expanding your lung capacity also requires strengthening the muscles between your ribs, called intercostal muscles. These muscles act like the scaffolding of your chest, holding and supporting the rib cage. When they are strong and flexible, your chest can expand much more easily. When they are tight or weak, breathing becomes shallow. A simple 10-minute daily stretch routine can dramatically increase chest expansion. When you stretch your chest upward, sideways, and backward, the rib cage opens like a spreading flower. As the ribs open, the lungs gain more space to expand. With each stretch, you train your breathing muscles to support more volume. People who practice chest opening stretches often notice their breathing becomes deeper even when they are not trying. Posture plays a surprisingly important role in lung capacity. Many people spend hours hunched over phones, laptops, steering wheels, or desks, compressing the lungs and preventing full breathing. Slouched posture tightens the chest, weakens the diaphragm, and reduces oxygen intake without anyone noticing. Improving posture throughout the day can increase lung capacity almost instantly because it opens the chest cavity. When the spine is straight, the rib cage naturally lifts, and the lungs have room to expand downward and outward. The body automatically breathes better when posture improves. Just 10 minutes of posture correction daily can restore lung expansion, especially for those who sit for long hours. Breath-holding exercises, when done gently and safely, also enhance lung capacity by training the lungs to hold more air. When you inhale deeply and hold your breath for a few seconds, your air sacs stretch and widen, improving elasticity. This teaches the lungs to retain more oxygen with each breath. As you practice breath retention, your body becomes more efficient at using oxygen, and your cells adapt to work better even when oxygen levels are low. Over several weeks, this training increases stamina and makes activities like running, climbing stairs, and exercising much easier. Movement-based routines like walking, slow jogging, swimming, cycling, or even dancing are powerful tools for expanding lung capacity. When you move your body, your breathing naturally becomes deeper and more rhythmic. Cardio activities stimulate the lungs to fill and empty at higher volumes, strengthening them over time. Even 10 minutes of brisk walking every day can significantly improve lung strength. The more you move, the more your lungs learn to adapt to increased oxygen demands. Over time, this increases your overall endurance, reduces fatigue, and makes breathing more efficient. Steam inhalation can also enhance lung performance by opening air passages and loosening mucus that restricts airflow. When warm steam enters the lungs, it relaxes the airways, making it easier to breathe deeply. Many people living in polluted or dusty environments benefit greatly from daily steam inhalation because it helps clean the respiratory passages. The lungs become more capable of expanding fully when they are free of congestion. Hydration is essential for lung expansion because the lungs rely on thin mucus to stay moist and function properly. When the body is dehydrated, mucus becomes thick and sticky, making it harder for the lungs to move air. Drinking plenty of warm water throughout the day keeps the lungs hydrated, clears congestion, and improves oxygen flow. Herbal teas like ginger tea, peppermint tea, thyme tea, and mullein tea also support lung function by soothing the airways and reducing inflammation. Nutrition plays a major role in how well your lungs expand. Foods rich in antioxidants, such as berries, citrus fruits, leafy greens, garlic, ginger, turmeric, and nuts, help reduce inflammation inside the lungs. Omega-3 fatty acids found in walnuts, fish, and flax seeds help repair lung tissue. Vitamin C strengthens the immune system, helping the lungs fight pollutants. When your diet supports lung health, your lungs can expand more effectively because they are stronger, cleaner, and less inflamed. Reducing exposure to pollutants is another key factor in increasing lung capacity. If your lungs are constantly fighting pollution, dust, smoke, or chemicals, they have less energy to expand and function at their best. Using indoor plants like snake plants, spider plants, aloe vera, and peace lily can help purify indoor air. Keeping your living area well ventilated also supports deeper breathing. Avoiding smoking, staying away from crowded polluted areas, and wearing protective masks when necessary can make a dramatic difference in how well your lungs perform. Over time, as you practice these techniques daily, you begin to notice subtle changes. Your breaths become deeper without effort. Your chest feels more open. You no longer feel tired after light tasks. Walking becomes easier. Climbing stairs becomes smoother. Exercise becomes more enjoyable. Your mind feels clearer because your brain is receiving more oxygen. Even your voice becomes stronger and more stable. People who practice lung expansion techniques often report improved sleep, better mood, reduced anxiety, and increased focus thanks to improved oxygen supply. What makes this entire process beautiful is that it doesn't require any equipment, gym membership, or long hours of training. It simply requires commitment to just 10 minutes a day. The lungs are adaptable, responsive, and eager to expand. When you treat your breath as a daily practice rather than an automatic function, the lungs reward you with strength, clarity, vitality, and a sense of renewed life. Breathing is the first thing you do when you enter the world and the last thing you do when you leave it. The space between those two moments depends on how well you breathe. Expanding your lung capacity is not just about improving health, it is about improving your life. Every deep breath becomes a reminder that your lungs are powerful, your body is capable of healing, and your breath is your lifelong companion in the journey of strength and wellness. With just 10 minutes a day, you can unlock the full potential of your lungs, giving your body the oxygen it deserves and the energy it has been waiting for.